Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix our country together. And the content that we're going to talk about today is something you simply are not going to believe. This is a conversation that happened on the Twitter of Chris Murphy. Now, Chris Murphy is Mr. Gun Control in the Senate. There's not a gun control bill that Chris Murphy does not love and stump for. Okay? And he's talking to the director of the Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House, Rob Wilcox. Gun controller, every time for gun safety. We've been through it. The things that he's about to say, like, for example, all the gun violence is self-inflicted and suicide-related. Well, that's a little different than what he normally says on camera. Did you know that straw purchases and actual trafficking of firearms wasn't illegal until Chris Murphy passed Bipartisan Safer Communities Act? Guys, send this one out because we're going to keep this forever because you are not going to believe what he's about to tell you. Everything will be linked in the description box below. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on if you want to pass these blessings on to the next generation by exposing these gun controllers for exactly what they are, frauds. And the content is made possible today by American Hartford Gold. And we'll say a quick word, and then we are going to get to this. And the content today is brought to you by American Hartford Gold. And brothers and sisters, with everything popping off around the world, wars cracking off, we've got inflation issues, we've got stock market volatility, we have cash concerns, we have oil concerns. It's a good time to take a look at least know your options with American Hartford Gold. They are dedicated to offering gold, silver, platinum coins and bars for your investing needs. Whether you want to do it delivered to your door or you want an IRA, Roth IRA, 401k, TSP, they've got options. This is something you guys should check out. At American Hartford Gold, they aim to educate clients about investments in the precious metal industry, strive to provide unparalleled customer service built on trust, integrity, and absolute transparency, while holding a goal of achieving 100% customer satisfaction. Click the link in the description or call 844-727-3199. That's 844-727-3199 or text Langley to 65532. Again, that's 844-727-3199 or text Langley to 65532. All right, beautiful people, buckle up because the things that you're going to see here, you're not going to believe. You simply will not believe them. So without much more ado, I've got 3 clips. Please, if anything, at least watch the first 2 because this is massive. So what I'm going to show you is an excerpt of a conversation, like I said, on Twitter, Chris Murphy's Twitter. Now, Chris Murphy, like I said in the intro, has never met a gun control bill he won't stump for and try to take the moral high ground and bully people into voting for laws that would infringe upon our constitutional rights. Listen to this, and you tell me anything sounds weird.
Our bill includes the first ever federal prohibition on gun trafficking. And from what I've heard, we've already started to see some pretty significant prosecutions of gun trafficking rings that we couldn't do prior to this law passing. And again, the idea is that if you want to understand why gun murders are coming down in our cities, maybe part of it is that we are making it harder for these gun traffickers to be able to sell guns illegally in our cities.
Senator, I think it's pretty incredible to think that someone who was profiting off bringing illegal guns into our communities used to just get off with a slap on the wrist or a paperwork violation. There was no federal law that actually made it a crime to straw purchase or to engage in firearms trafficking.
Did you guys know that there was no federal law against straw purchasing or trafficking of firearms? Isn't that weird? The guy who is talking is the director of the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, Rob Wilcox. This is the guy in the White House directly underneath Kamala Harris. What? Someone should better tell Don't Lie for the Other Guy in NSSF and every single gun shop in the United States that has the poster up. It's not against the law. It was never against the law to straw purchase. Wow. You're either incredibly daft or you're just a propagandist. Both aren't great. But to set the record straight, straw purchasing was very much illegal. Firearms trafficking was very much illegal before the passage of the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which they are referencing. Guys, you cannot make this stuff up. This is going in the forever jar. Legitimately. All right? And that's just the first one I've got for you guys. But now, what would you say in the comments down there if I told you that Chris Murphy is about to tell you that the main cause of all gun violence and the gun problem in the United States is suicide? Again, a little bit different than what he's constantly preaching. Okay, enough setup. Let's get it. Second clip.
Important to remember that, if you have a mental health history, that is absolutely not a indicator of your capacity for violence, but it does mean that we should be much more careful about handing you a lethal firearm. And we also have to understand that, what we are primarily doing is protecting people from harming themselves. Again, the majority of people who die from a gunshot wound every day are not being shot by someone else; they're shooting themselves. And so, someone with a complicated mental health history, especially a juvenile, somebody under 21, we have to be, to err on the side of caution when it comes to getting them a weapon. Let me talk to you about.
Hold the phone. Back up the truck. So you're telling me, per Chris Murphy's own words on his own Twitter account, talking to the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention Director, that the majority of gunshots that we see are self-inflicted suicides, not someone else shooting someone. That's a little bit different than the pitch that we've consistently heard about the violence that's proliferating our streets and the epidemic of gun violence and the fact that more guns equals more crime. So are you suggesting that Chris Murphy, from his own mouth, would be lying to the American people to infringe upon their gun rights of his own admission? Guys, I don't know if they think video and internet doesn't exist or we're not watching, but holy crap. He just said it. You just saw it. Send it out. And one more thing for you, because we always do things in threes because it's such a beautiful number. Listen to this. If there's not something that makes you go, huh? We're about to talk about attempted murderers and juveniles both trying to buy guns. You just bear with me.
And data is, those are numbers, but I think it's important to look at the stories. And the FBI has provided those to me so I can share them with you. But, one is a juvenile who went in to buy a firearm. And it was only because of the call into the state that what was discovered is that individual had been found by a juvenile court to be mentally ill and involuntarily committed to a mental health hospital. Thankfully, that person was getting the help they needed. But because of that call, made possible by your law, that individual was blocked from buying a gun. And we don't know if they would have gone on to commit a mass shooting or to hurt themselves, but that is concerning history. And that was not available prior to your law. Another example is we called in to a sheriff's office. And what we found is that the individual who literally was trying to purchase a gun had recently been arrested for attempted murder. These sales would have gone through without your background check and without implementing it under.
Quick question for the guy in the back. So you're telling me that juvenile was going to buy a gun and this law stopped it because they were a juvenile, even though they can't buy the gun legally. Other than that, let's just move right on to that, past that one. So you're telling me that an attempted murderer who had been arrested for attempted murder was out and free and tried to buy a gun? Hey, again, quick question in the back. Why was he free? See, you can't talk about that. You've got to talk about the fact that the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act stopped an attempted murderer who was out openly free and willing to do whatever he wanted to attempt to go buy a gun. So the guy who was arrested for attempted murder, we're not going to talk about the fact that he was out. We're not going to talk about the fact that he would have been arrested. We're not going to talk about any of those things. No. We've got to talk about the idea that the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act stopped an attempted murderer who was set free from buying a gun. That's what you want to focus on. Sounds about right. This is a clown show. It's a circus. I don't even know what to do. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Did I land that plane or not? And I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.